The Ducks beat down on the Bruins, who's heating up in the spring, and much more on this episode of Locked On Anaheim Ducks.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, everydayers. Thank you for making Locked On Anaheim Ducks your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Kyle Carr, and I'm a lifelong Anaheim Ducks fan, and I have been covering collegiate sports for multiple years, including college hockey. But today we are talking Anaheim Ducks. First off, we're going to break into what happened against the Bruins on Wednesday and how that game went. Then we got to talk about who is bringing the heat in the springtime for the Ducks, and then a little preview of the Rangers game on Friday. So first off, going into Wednesday's game, just an absolute barn burner by the Ducks against Boston. Adding insult to injury, there were just a ton of crazy goals that went in against Korpisalo. The Bruins are just on a huge downward spiral right now. First thing, Ducks beat them 6-2. That was the final score. And Zegras, he was on fire all night long. Didn't come out with a point last night, but he was bringing every single thing you could think of. He even was making beautiful passes. We'll talk about it a little bit later in our heating up section, but he has just been on fire. His offensive production, if you look at the stats, like the visuals of how much he's creating offense versus not creating offense when he's on the ice, he's been leading the team on that every single game. It's been fantastic. Carlson was the guy to open up the scoring last night, and he scored on the second shorthanded goal for the Ducks this season. That's right, the second shorthanded goal for the Ducks. We got Vetrano with the first, and now Leo Carlson with the second deep in the season. So that was a really nice thing to have. The power play was a little underwhelming again, as they didn't score a single power play goal, but to give up to score a shorthanded goal definitely helps that little, adds a little Band-Aid to that. The scoring last night was coming from everywhere. It was absolute death scoring for the team. Nestorenko gets a beautiful goal, basically just buzzed right through the Bruins defense, puts it right on Korpisalo, and a bouncing puck goes off one of the defenders and in. Harkins got straight up cross-checked in the face. I was really looking to see if he was going to be out or reported for injury, because this dude straight up just got cross-checked in the neck, face area, blasted. But it ended up in a Ducks goal, so that was good. Lacombe, he had a crazy, crazy goal. He was behind the net, just, again, creating offense like he's been doing, chipping it around, and it ends up on the back of the net. This guy pops the puck up over the crossbar. It bounces off of Zaka's arm and then behind Korpisalo and in. So it was literally like just not going anywhere for the Bruins last night. It was all Ducks all night. Gauthier, he gets a just out of nowhere, just really tried to put the puck on net from a bad angle, and Korpisalo just didn't have the pad down tight enough, and it slips right under the pad. So another goal there for the Ducks that just should have been stopped by the Bruins. Leo Carlson, he gets a second goal for the game with a beautiful feed from Lacombe, just rips it right across from low to high, or from the high. Basically, he's at the blue line, rips it right across over to Carlson. Carlson delays, Korpisalo gets out of position, and he just roofs one. Another beautiful goal for Carlson. So that's two. He's had two goal games in the last 4 games. So Carlson doing absolutely fantastic. McTavish, he scored his first goal in 6 games. He hasn't scored since Utah. That was 7 games ago now. But yeah, 6 games. He hasn't scored a goal. He's been getting assists, but no goals. Finally gets one. And the look on his face, he straight up rolled his eyes, just like, they were playing the Zoom, and Brian Hayward and John Allers were cracking up watching his reaction. So good to see him finally get a goal after a while. Really, the key of the game, though, it was the rush chances and playing a strong physical game. They kept bringing the offense all night. They were bringing speed. They were creating just havoc for the Bruins, and the Bruins just had no response. And to see again the defense down low, Zellweger down low, Lacombe down low, all these young guys just getting chances left and right. That is what we want to see. And to have depth scoring come into play, absolutely beautiful. Still, no power play goals. Like I said, there was 3 chances to have a power play goal. They could not score. They did give up 5 penalties, even in a 5-on-3 situation at one point, and that's when Pasternak scored his first goal of the game. And they can't be doing that. This 5 penalties shouldn't be ever given up in any game. But granted, it was a 5-on-3 goal. They still gave up a penalty or a power play goal to the other team and have not scored a power play goal in ages. It seems like it's been forever now. So little scar on the whole thing. I know we've been talking about it every single episode, but I think I'm going to keep talking about it until it finally changes, because it's absurd that they cannot get anything going with the power play. And looking ahead with the Rangers game, we'll talk about it later, but they're going to need to be sharp with the power play, because they do not give up power play goals like at all. So, coming up, though, we're going to talk about who is bringing up the heat in the springtime. We got lots of players that have been kind of cooking lately. So, we'll break down who's been doing hot and good in the last few games. So, stay tuned after this, and we'll get into that shortly. If you're like me, your mornings have to start with a good cup of coffee, but I got tired of settling for grocery store brands that just, they weren't cutting it. That's why I turned to Trade. And let me tell you, this coffee is next level. It beats almost Kona coffee. It's so good. Trade is the number one specialty coffee marketplace in the US, bringing you fresh coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. Their experts have taste tested thousands of coffees, curating over 450 amazing roasts. Whether you're new to coffee or know exactly what you like, they'll handpick the perfect match for you. I took the quick quiz, and under a minute, they matched me with such a good roast. I love a good medium roast. That's what I got, and I literally drank the bag in like 2 days. It was so good. I was buzzing for those 2 days, but it was absolutely one of the best coffees I've ever had. So right now you can go to Trade. They're exclusively offering our listeners 40% off your first order at drinktrade.com/lockedonnhl. That's drinktrade, TRADE.com/lockedonnhl for 40% off your first order. That's drinktrade.com/lockedonnhl. And we are back, and we got to talk about the spring heat. Things are heating up down in Orange County, and it is definitely starting to heat up with the Ducks. So let's take a little quick peek at who has been performing and bringing it every single night. And more recently, just kind of looking at their different point streaks and what's been going on. First off, Jackson Lacombe. This guy, he's a defenseman, and he is playing out of his mind. It's been so awesome watching him this year. Very much a underdog, kind of came out of nowhere, really started getting attention of all the pundits out there in the NHL. Had that amazing point streak for a while. It unfortunately did come to an end, but he's been pretty much having a couple points here every other game. So right now he has 4 points in the last 3 games. So he's been bringing it the last week. He continues to play solid on defense, just shutting things down. I call him the Iceman back there because he's just so cool, calm, and collected, playing against top line forwards, and he just shuts it down. Like, no big deal, no problem. Gudis has been a little leaky back there, but Lacombe comes and just rescues him, breaks down 2-on-1s left and right. He's always coming up, kind of making up for which allows Gudis to go and try to make those giant hips checks and everything. So, tit for tat, give or take. So definitely good to have Jackson with Gudis, and he's just a massive, massive tool for the defense, and then also the offense. Is he, like I said, 4 points in the last 3 games and a couple goals to boot for that. So definitely like watching Jackson Lacombs the way he's been going through all season, but now even more so towards the end. You know, they have every excuse to slow down and not produce, and yet he continues to do it. Then our man Zegras, got to talk about Zegras. He has been playing extremely well. He even did it like he did this between the legs pass coming through the neutral zone. He gets a defenseman on him, and he just between the legs throws it through the neutral zone right up to McTavish. Unfortunately, McTavish didn't score on that one, but it was just a complete beauty play. He keeps making just great passes, heads up plays. Like one point, he almost scored, and McTavish sauced him a pass, and he midair just bats it down, puts it back on the ice, lays it flat, gets a shot off. Like just the hands on this kid are impeccable. I would love to see a little bit more on the shooting side from him still, but he continues to make beautiful plays. So good on you, Z. Gotta love that. He's got 7 points in the last 10 games. So a little slow in the last couple. He hasn't gotten on the score sheet, but out of the last 10, 7 points. That's not bad. So keep it up, Z. Love the 200-foot game you've been bringing. Completely great to have him back, healthy and not suspended. Then we got our boy Nestorenko. Nestorenko comes up from San Diego and has just been a dominant force. He originally came up to cover for Sam Colangelo after he came up from the AHL and got injured, but Nestorenko stays in the lineup. Colangelo comes back. He takes over because Johnson's still not here. He fills in that spot, and they both have been buzzing. Absolutely love to see the young kids going. Nestorenko right now has 5 points in the last 10 games. So as a rookie coming up from San Diego, 5 points in 10 games is not a bad thing at all. He's continuing to be out there and making a name for himself, getting in the way, getting in the lanes, playing with McTavish and Zegras just adds to that offensive depth and his size. He's just a bigger guy. Really like the way that he's playing. Cronin did have him drop down a couple times with the fourth line. He was kind of mixing the lines up the last game. So expect him to either be on that fourth line or on the third line with Z and McTavish. So good to have an offensive tool like that too that can kind of bump up and down on the lines and still generate. Then we got Terry and Goche. They both have 6 points in the last 10 games, so they've been doing really well. Terry got that goal the other night, which was a beauty. He's didn't get any points in last night's game, but continues to create some offense. And like I said, this guy, he is a complete Swiss Army knife toolkit out there on the ice, does all the right things. Goche, he's been playing really well. He got that crazy no look kind of pass, like bad angle goal that he got today or on Wednesday. So gotta love that. Continues to create offense. His speed, he's just been getting way, way, way more comfortable with the way he can skate and the way he can really add to that rush type offense that the Ducks have been utilizing to win these few games that they have won out of the last couple. And then our boy Leo Carlson, man, he has been on fire since the Four Nations tournament. Everyone expected him to have a little bit of a sophomore slump, but ever since the Four Nations, he's just been so confident. His hands have been great. He has 8 points in the last 10 games, and he has 4 goals in the last 4 games. So 2 games out of the last 4 games, he had multi-goal games. He's been playing out of his mind. Definitely love watching Carlson right now. Just the way he gets shots off, the way he's just buzzing out there on that top line with Goche and Killorn. He has been a very solid center. Absolutely, absolutely cannot wait to see the way he ends this season. And next year, it's just going to be even bigger with the Olympics coming up and all this stuff going on in hockey. Leo is in a great place for the Ducks, and the Ducks are in a good place because of Leo. But surprisingly, the main man that's been heating up, the main guy, I've been kind of ragging him. I've been dogging him, been saying that he looks like he's just kind of not there, whatever. Mason McTavish has 10 points in the last 10 games. That's right. That is a point per game pace in the last 10 games. He has 3 goals out of those 10 points, so 7 assists, completely just adding to the offense. He keeps making just scoring chance after scoring chance. A lot of those plays with Zegras have been coming into fruition. He's been very confident on the power play when they do score. So good to see him actually getting some points. I was really surprised to see that he had 10 points in the last 10 games. As like I said, I've been kind of dogging him. I feel like there's a next level to Mason's game. That's really all it is I love the way he plays. I love when he is on fire and he's actually dialed in. But I feel like there's another level that Mason can bring to his game. So he is our spring heat right now with those 10 points in 10 games. Honestly, the whole team is playing really well. They other than the few games that they've dropped, they haven't been out of the games too bad. Carolina was a little different story, but and St. Louis, I don't know what it is about St. Louis. We cannot beat them right now. But overall, they've been a couple goal games and then maybe an empty netter or something here and there. But overall, it's hard to find too much of a niche within the team that's not like no one is not performing. The only thing is that power play, special teams, and again, we'll continue to harp on that. But when it comes to the depth of the team and the roster right now, I don't really have too much to complain about with how all the players are playing. So definitely looking forward to the end. We got Rangers coming up. That's on Friday, and we're going to do a little preview after this. So stay tuned for that Rangers preview. You just realized that your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy, just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs puts your post at the top of the page and helps you reach the candidates faster. So if you need sometimes I need editors out there and I don't want to have to try to go searching through and try to find them. I use a sponsored job on Indeed. It puts it right on any search engine. Boom, right there. Anytime someone searches editing job, it goes right there on the top. It's absolutely flawless when it comes to trying to get someone hired for any type of project you're working on. So now you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to indeed.com/locked on right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need. And we are back. And coming up on Friday, the Ducks have the Rangers coming into town. A little bit of an original six tour right now out in Orange County. So the Rangers, they've been a little different this year. They've had their ups and downs. Not quite the team we saw last year headed to the Eastern Conference Finals, but they have been pretty decently active this season. They're always a strong team. You could always got to respect the Rangers. But so far, they're 1-4 in their last 5 games. So they've been dropping a few. The only game that they did win was against Vancouver. And then their last game that they played was a loss, and that was against LA. They lost 3-1 on Tuesday. So a little bit of rest for the Rangers. They've been hanging out in SoCal, getting some sunshine, getting some good tacos and everything. So they're going to be ready for the Ducks coming into town. The Ducks played on Wednesday, so that's an extra day of rest for the Rangers. Big thing, though, for the Ducks, and probably a positive light, though, Strome and Vetrano, they're former Rangers, so they're definitely going to be bringing some heat. Vetrano's been a little dry lately on the points side of things, and definitely, he's one of our top scorers when it comes to goals, and he's been a little dry. So I definitely imagine him to bring a new level of play against his old squad. And then, of course, Ryan Strome, the two of them, they're on the same line, so they're gonna be bringing the heat, and the Rangers are gonna be focusing on those guys. So that's one thing, take the heat off the young kids, maybe get them a little distracted with the old, tummy sticks with the old friends and stuff. So that'll be a plus for the Ducks. And I definitely expect them to be bringing their A game. If I were a betting man, I'd put money on Vetrano getting a goal or at least a couple points on Friday's game. In the last 10 games for the Rangers, they have been outscored 30-25. So they've been a little leaky. They're couple win they had a few win streaks there in the last 10. They were winning some games, but overall they've been outscored 30-25. So definitely the Ducks can take advantage of some 5-on-5 goals. That would really help. But the big thing is they need to be very, very careful when it comes to special teams. The Rangers, they've only scored one power play in the last 10 games. But when it comes to the penalty kill, they've given up 22 power play goals, but they've been giving up a ton of penalties. Their power play right now, their penalty kill, their penalty kill is ranked way up at the top of the league. They are 7th in the league for the penalty kill and have an 81.9% success rate. But a lot of that's because they've had a lot of practice as they've given up so many penalties this season, and especially lately. They've got Matt Rempe on there, the Empire State Building. This guy, his elbows are as tall as everyone. So unfortunately, he gets a ton of elbowing penalties, and they have been stacking up. So a little leaky in the last 10, but their penalty kill is very, very strong. And then their power play is ranked at 26th. So they're not quite as good on the power play. They're better than the Ducks. They have an 18% success rate. The Ducks are still sub 13%. So definitely expect a special teams game not really being the deciding factor. But if the Ducks can bring a very strong power play, they have an opportunity because they have been giving up quite a few penalties and quite a few power play goals. So that is the one thing that I would hope for the Ducks to get a chance to break this power play drought that they've had. Try to use it. They're going to bring the heat, but if that makes the Ducks have to elevate their power play game because they know that they're 7th in the penalty kill, then let's hope that they do that, because I don't know what else is going to spark the Ducks into getting their power play under control. Their top scorer right now there is Artemi Panarin. So he's been leading the team in goals. However, he's a little dry right now. He has only 2 goals in the last 5, and then it was only like 4 out of the last 10. And so this guy, when you're a goal scorer, it drives you absolutely insane when you're not getting goals. So expect him to be hungry. Ducks need to lock him down. That'll be the biggest threat to the team when it comes to skaters. And then they got to take this depth confidence. So they have depth scoring right now. Last game against the Bruins was an absolute barn burner for them. They need to take that confidence, take that joy of winning again, and just using that type of mentality into Friday's game, but also applying that fast rush pace, the clear puck support that they had, making good passes. Can't get it too tricky against the Rangers. They'll shut that stuff down like that, like the between the legs that Zegras did. So a little bit more skillful type, tape to tape, clean, just good old hockey out there. But like with the power plays and with the penalties that the Rangers have been giving up, that means they're going to be a very physical team. So the Ducks can't get, thrown off by that. They got to come out hard as well. And they're going to have a successful game. Let's see if they can continue this little losing streak for the Rangers and make it a, 6 out of the last 5, or sorry, 5 out of the last 6 games are losses. I got a little dyslexic there, but definitely look forward to Friday's game and continue to tune in to here as we've got podcasts coming at you every single day. Make sure you like and subscribe. We are always going to be here, Locked On, the network, Locked On Ducks, me. We got you covered. We're bringing you the fix for your itch every day, all the time. So thank you for making Locked On Anaheim Ducks your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NHL podcast, bringing you the daily league-wide stories that matter with the local coverage you love from Locked On. So find Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Kyle Carr. Be good out there.